Hello and welcome to Karen's Piano Blog. It's good to see you again. Today I'd like to talk to you about teaching the non-pianist musician. That sounds like an unusual title, but let's discuss first a phone call. I've had this happen many times. The phone rings and on the other end of the line we hear that my son or daughter wants to major in music at university and plays your choice of instruments or vocal well. He or she is an age that they will tell us and needs to achieve the grade 6 level of piano in the following amount of years. The parent promises that the child will work very, very hard because music is very important to them. Is it possible that you will take them on? Well, blank one can be any instrument in any voice range, as previously said. If the student has had even a few years of piano in their elementary school years, this project is much more apt to be successful than if they are coming to the piano for the very first time with only school music in their background. If the student has had no previous piano experience, the challenge is the equalization of the hands and the reading of two clefs at the same time. Is this an impossible task? Absolutely not. However, is it probable that somebody will get to a grade 6 level competently and confidently in a small amount of time? It's also not probable. Blank 2 and 3 are of definite concern. Often students start thinking about what they are going to do in university around the age of 14 and 15 when they take their civics and careers course at school, and they think that their most fun credit is music, which is delightful if they're having fun with music. So typically the call comes around age 15, but I've had this very same call as late as 18. Developing a skill at the piano does take time. We can't start in level 4 just because a student wants to get to level 6 in 2 years. I ask the parents immediately if they are open to the student taking a year off of school after they have completed grade 12. Many parents who make this phone call are not aware that this is not just about getting piano proficiency, but that there is much theory to be understood and history that often non-pianist teachers do not teach. So the question is, do I take on these students? Yes, I do. It is very rare for me to say no to this type of a student if I have a time slot available. So the question is, where do I start? And the answer to that is, I start with more than one lesson per week. No matter how you look at this whole voyage that you're going to go through with this student, they need constant input from a piano professional in order to achieve their level 6 in anywhere from 2 to 4 years. It is important that they have their errors in their fingers only briefly. So with 2 lessons per week, it is only 3 or 4 days that they have something wrong in their hands. It is important to immediately develop independent practicing skills also. For the students who have come to us from a school situation are very used to doing well in music during music class, and only when there's a test do they actually practice at home. We need to have this student start to practice daily and with great commitment. Oral learners may not even know how to read music on their primary instrument. Think about those vocal majors who have wonderful memories for melody, and yet they really aren't following the ups and downs of the notation. The important thing, as with every student, is to set goals, short-term and long-term. They feel that they've already set the goal clearly by saying, I need level 6. But it is not that simple. This is in education. Musical success depends on firm foundation and layering of new skills. We have to be careful that in our effort to go quickly with these students that we do not skip foundational elements. We also need to keep in mind that most university programs are saying that students only need their rudiments in order to be gaining admittance to the music program. But often the students that go with just rudiments are those students who struggle to pass the theory classes. The more time that theory class takes, the less time they have to practice their individual instrument, and the more stress that is involved. My preference is for all students to have achieved at least one, if not two, levels of harmony before they enter the doors of the university to major in music. Not only will this make it so that theory is not so time-consuming, but they will be able to follow the course and might even be able to earn a little bit of money tutoring the others that came in with just rudiments. Goal 1 for these students is that they will be able to move through the primer of your chosen method book in a month or less. I use primers for the 7-year-old beginners, not the advanced or the adult beginner with these students. I find that the quick-moving primers that are used for adults and late beginners tend to make the left hand less important and less efficient at reading. And yet most students come to me, if they are reading music, reading treble clef. So we need the bass clef emphasized, not overlooked. At the end of the first month, there must be an open discussion about the progress that has been made and if there are any concerns. Most of the time we are definitely dealing with a mature student, so I have these open discussions with the students themselves and then send off an email to the parent that is paying the bill. You will be able to see in that first month how seriously the student is taking things and whether they can reach that short-term goal in a month. For this gives us an idea of whether they can reach their long-term goal. I've actually had a guitarist and a violinist both come to me with very little reading, achieve the primer all the way through in 1 week because they were so serious about what they were going to do with their life. Many students may not have that kind of time to give to this project. So I extend it to a month, but that month should really be reached. After all, most beginning methods start with playing off of finger numbers, and that element should not be that difficult, particularly if the person already understands rhythms. Be sure to include all of the senses in every lesson and encourage the student to include every sense in their daily practice. Say your letters out loud as you play and read the music. See it, say it, hear it, play it. We have gotten many senses in. My second goal is that the level 1 book be 6 to 8 weeks to cover that particular book. There's much more playing of hands together here, and we start reading the full grand staff without staying in a middle C or C position. Pedal is included, articulations and dynamics by this point have been included in all of the methods by the end of level 1. We need to keep talking our meter, saying our note names out loud, saying our fingering out loud. All playing must be fully aware. Do think carefully about the skills that each grade or level provides a student to make sure that everything is covered before you move on. As always, cover a wide range of genres so that the student is exploring as many different epochs and skills as possible. Incorporate elements of rudiments, harmony, and history as part of the normal conversation at the piano. if you have just discussed semitones and whole tones at the table, it is important to that same day have them go to the piano and demonstrate to you that they know how to apply it. If you are at all familiar with their instrument, have them bring their instrument to the lessons so that they can apply their theory lessons to their instrument as well. Start early with identifying root quality symbols, those symbols that most people call guitar symbols. This helps with note reading because it groups notes together. It helps with their memorization because we're planting understanding of the repertoire in their brain and their permanent memory rather than depending on just physical memory. It also aids with the chording of melody lines that they will be needing to do in university, and actually is just a handy skill for every musician to have. After all, being able to play from a fake book is something that every one of us can do. Imagine going into a retirement center with a 300-page fake book of just melody lines and guitar symbols and being able to play anything that anybody requests. Our elder generation would truly appreciate this time. Listening skills, ear training, and technique are a must at every lesson. Be sure to check with the universities as to what it is that they are hoping that a student will have in their hands before they come. For their oral skills, melodic and rhythmic dictation is best explored one-on-one first. Add it in as part of the ear training, even though the conservatories have not got the ability to include this on a practical exam. It is a skill the students need to have. Do you have non-singers? Well, guess what? They need to be able to sing, and they need to be able to understand the solfege identification system. So I encourage each of you to get good at this system as well so that you can share this with them. Percussionists, I must be honest, are a particular challenge because they think mostly rhythmically, unless they are on something like a glockenspiel. That means that they are having to learn to read specific notation of two clefs at the same time, and they really need to take longer in times of months and years to have a facile ability at the piano that would allow them to pass the keyboarding course. Singers often have a great memory rather than a reading ability. Piano can be a fabulous gift to these students because it will confirm how to read and they will be able to apply it to their instrument. As always, every student is an individual. Success and progress rates will still vary. These statements apply regardless of the age of the beginner, but each age and goal has its own challenges. There will be some students or families that will discover that music has a lot more to it than they ever thought it would. In some cases, students may even rethink signing up for music at the university level. This does not speak poorly of you as a teacher at all. As a matter of fact, the opposite should be true, that you have actually opened their eyes to the amount of dedication that you have given your craft, and that is needed from them also. Throughout this process, you will probably find that you need longer lessons than the typical beginner. Yes, twice a week, at least an hour, in order to do everything for this student that you need to do. After all, theory, history, piano skills are not just a single subject. They are an amalgamate subject called music, but they are three separate subjects that we want to try to join the dots with. So sometimes they actually need 3 hours with you. Everything that you impart to these students can be positive in their overall development, whether it be music or otherwise. They are a delight to work with, and many of them are indeed extremely hard workers and will be grateful to you for the rest of their life. Consider saying yes the next time this phone call comes in. Thank you for joining me on Karen's Piano Blog. I hope to see you again next time.